Dear students, welcome back to our new lesson for the subject of accounting. That is first paper for 11 business studies and only for accounting class 9 business studies for the English version students. I am carrying on the chapter 1. It is part 3, introduction, transaction and account. I have already given the 3 lectures for these chapters. For the part 1, introduction, lecture 1, and for part 2, that is the transaction, lecture number 2 and 3. Today I will give the lecture number 3 for the transaction part of the chapter 1, that is introduction to accounting. This is Mahmoud Hussain. This is acronym MHN, Senior Lecturer, Department of Accounting, English Media Morning Shift, Raju Kutra Model College, Dhaka. We are going to carry the effect on accounting equation in modern concept. You know, accounting equation is asset is equal to liabilities plus equity. Another one, equity is equal to capital plus revenue minus expenses minus drawings. Which events are transactions and which are not is explained by the following different types of events. We can say the different types of events. Now I will discuss about the identification of transaction. How is it possible? You have to listen very carefully my speech and have to write in your accounting practice copy in a hurry. The first one, started business with cash taka 2 lakh or 1 lakh. Started business. This event is transaction. Since cash brought in as capital, it has brought a financial change and includes 2 parties involved in it. One is the capital of the owner and the other is the cash. For the capital increasing, that is equity increasing, and cash increasing, that is asset increasing. Second transaction is goods purchased in cash. This is transaction. Value of product is measurable in terms of money. Purchase of goods is an expenses for the business. While the payment has decreased, the cash decrease, so asset decrease, and the purchase account is expenditure, so it is it's for equity decrease. Paid to creditors or accounts payable or any other person or institution. This is a transaction. Payment to the creditor or accounts payable or any other institution or person has decreased both the liability as well as asset. Liability means accounts payable is decreased and cash decreased, and financial condition has been affected. Agreed to purchase goods from Shaha, taka 1 lakh. This is not a transaction, has agreed to purchase, but actual purchase has not been taken place and the payment of which is neither made. So no financial changes or changed occurred in the business. Dear students, I think you have understood from these examples for the accounting equation or identification of transaction. Now we can go for today's lecture, the creative question solution. The creative question number 2 for this chapter, that is part 2, it is transaction. Dear learners, you are watching a creative question respecting problems CQ3 transaction. Just I read it. Mr. Asif is a trader. The following events took place in his business on February 2020. February 1, started business with cash taka 2 lakh and computer values of taka 50,000. February 5, goods purchased. February 1, this event is a transaction. February 5, goods purchase. This event is transaction. February 8, decision taken for taking loan from bank. This is not a transaction. February 10, goods sold by check. This is a transaction. February 15, insurance premium paid by check. This is a transaction. February 21, drew from the bank by owner. This is a transaction. February 23, an order confirmed for selling goods. This is not transaction. 26, loan taken from Prime Bank. This is a transaction. February 28, interest received. This is a transaction. February 29, depreciation to be charged on computer. This is a transaction. Dear students, from the above stem, we have to record the three requirements. Requirement A, determine the amount of non-monetary events, the same level as creative question number A. Creative question number 1. Requirement B, identify the events and explain the modern concept transaction on February 1, 8, 10, 15, 21, 23, 26 and 29. Requirement C, show the effect of transaction in accounting equation. Overall, the whole question is the same to creative question number 1. I think you've written in your accounting practice copy this question. Now you can go for solution of this question. Dear learners, if an event is to be a transaction, it has to satisfy any 5 of the following changes. But number 1, if asset increases, then liability or owner's equity increase. Number 2, if asset decreases, then liability or owner's equity decreases. Number 3, if one asset increases, then another asset will decrease. Number 4, if equity increases, then liability will decrease. Number 5, if owner's equity decreases, then liability will increase. This is the main major term features of a transactions effect on accounting equation. Okay, now I can go for solution of requirement A. You are watching in my slide. The amount of non-monetary events is determined below. Totally 4 columns are available in this requirement: date, particulars, amount, taka, detail, total. February 8, decision taken for taking loan from bank. Only decision taken, but not loan taken. So it is not a transaction. That is non-monetary events or non-economic events for taka 1 lakh in detail column. Is shown. February 23, an order confirmed for selling goods. Order confirmed but not selling goods. If is available selling goods in cash or on credit or with acceptance or by check, then it is transaction. But an order confirmed, it is not a transaction. For taka 50,000, overall total amount of non-monetary events or non-economic events are not transaction in this stem. Total taka 1,50,000. 1,50,000. Dear learners, I think you have written in your accounting copy the solution of requirement A. Now we can go for requirement B. Identify the events and explain with modern concept transaction 1, 8, 10, 15, 21, 23, 26 and 29. Totally 8 events. Okay, now you can see February 1 is transaction, February 8 is not transaction, February 10 is transaction, February 15 is transaction, February 21 is also transaction, February 23 is not transaction, February 26 is transaction, and also 29 is a transaction. Now you know totally 4 columns are available for this requirement. Now you can see in my slide. B. Identify the events and explain with more than concept. ALE, that is asset liability equity, as follows. 4 columns are available: date, transaction or not, related accounts, a reason or effect, asset liability and equity. February 1, this is the transaction, and it's related to 3 accounts. Cash, office equipment, capital. You know cash, one kind of asset. When cash increases in business, then asset increases, so reason A increases. Office equipment, started business with office equipment, so office equipment is in business. When office equipment increases in business, then asset increases in business. And overall total amount is capital, and capital is increased in business, then equity increases. February 8, this event is not a transaction, so it has no accounts, so it has no effect on accounting equation. You know, this is the very easiest answer in this creative question. February 10, this event is transaction. It's related to accounts, bank, another one sales. For bank depositing or bank balancing increasing, then asset increased. And for selling goods, that is sales, one kind of revenue related to equity. When revenue increased or occurred, then equity increased. So reason is in E increases. February 15, this event is a transaction. In this transaction, 2 accounts are involved: insurance expense, another one bank account. Insurance, one kind of expense. For expense incurring or occurring, that is equity decrease. And bank balance has gone or decreasing, that is asset decrease. February 21, this event is a transaction. It's related to accounts: drawings account, another one bank account. Drawings, one kind of contra equity, that is negative equity. When drawings available, then equity decrease, then capital amount decreases, so equity decreases. And bank balance of business is decreased, so asset decreases for this transaction. 23, this event is not transaction. It has no accounts, it has no effect on accounting equation for this event. 26, this event is transaction. It's related to accounts, bank and loan. For bank balance increasing, for loan taking, that is A increases, that is asset increases. And loan taken from other source or bank, so loan, one kind of liability, it has to pay it in future a certain period. After a certain period, loan taking, then increases. February 29, this event is a transaction. It's related to accounts: depreciation expense, another one accumulated depreciation for equipment. And when expense incurred, then equity decrease. You know, accumulated depreciation, that is one kind of contra asset, that is asset decreasing, value of asset decreasing, so asset decrease. Well, totally 8 events are related to this requirement. My dear students, I think you have written in your accounting practice copy the requirement B. Now you can go for solution of requirement C. You are watching in my slide. Requirement C showed the effect of transactions in accounting equation in tabular format. When the question is show the effect, then you have to show in tabular format of transactions in accounting equation. For the first transaction, two items or assets are increased, that is cash increasing, that is taka 2 lakh in plus figure, and office equipment is increased. Surplus figure is 50,000. Total amount of money for capital 2,50,000 in capital, that is remarks capital. Another amount expense increase, that is equity decrease. So in equity column 40,000 is decreasing amount of minus figure, and cash has decreased, so this is the amount of minus figure for 40,000. Right, and this is the revenue types transaction. For this amount, revenue when increased, then capital or equity increased, and also bank balance increased. So bank balance is plus figure 80,000, and capital column is plus. Added 80,000. Another amount for 5,000 expense in card by check or by bank. For this transaction, 5,000 decreased of equity and 5,000 balance of bank is decreased. So L21, this transaction for drawings due from bank by owner. So for this transaction, equity decreased, that is contra equity. Another one, bank balance decreased, so negative figure for bank balance 15,000. Another one, loan taken from bank. For loan taking from bank, then bank balance increased and loan, that is liability, increased. Another transaction is revenue type transaction. For taka 10,000 is increased equity amount, and also for increased in cash amount in cash column plus figure. The last transaction is expenses in cart. This 5,000 decreased, that is equity decreased, and office equipment decreased. That is one kind of contra asset, that is depreciation. For depreciation expense in card, then equity decreased and also for asset decreased. Now you can add the total of each column, that is cash, office equipment, bank, loan, capital. You know, from the second requirement, you can take easily how many assets, how many liabilities and equity columns are available in this stem. So cash, office equipment, bank, loan, capital, totally 5 columns are available in this format. And now you can probe asset is equal to liability plus equity after adding the all columns. Dear learners, I think you have added the total and grand total of assets and liabilities plus equity. Dear students, I have already completed the model question of transaction. I have given the 2 solutions. Now time to give the creative question for you for practicing at your home. Now you can see the creative question number 2 and 4. Creative question number 2. You have to write in a hurry for this question writing. Dear students, you have to write in your practice copy for solving at your home. Mr. Azhar is a trader. Following transactions took place in his business in December 2019. December 1, started business with bank balance and laptop values of taka 80,000. December 4, due from the bank for business use, Taka 60,000. December 8, desktop computer purchased on credit, Taka 30,000. December 9, goods sold in cash, Taka 50,000 and by check, Taka 40,000. December 15, loan taken from DBH, Taka 2 lakh. December 19, goods purchased on account, Taka 30,000. December 28, paid insurance premium, Taka 20,000. From this system, you have to recover the three questions. Requirement A, determine the amount of liability. Requirement B, what is the effect on accounting equation by the above transactions? Requirement C, determine the amount of equity. Dear learners, I think you are writing in your accounting practice copy the question. From this question, I can find out the amount of liability. Liability is in the December 8, desktop computer purchased on credit. On credit, that is liability. Another one, December 15, loan taken from DBH, other source or institution, it doesn't matter. Loan taken is one kind of liability. Another one, December 19, goods purchased on account, that is from other person or institution on credit. So totally three transactions are related to amount of liability: December 8, December 15, December 19. Requirement B, what is the effect on accounting equation by the web transactions? Only three columns to be used for this requirement: date, related accounts, and effect, that is effect on accounting equation or reason. Requirement C, determine the amount of equity. You know, equity is equal to capital plus revenue minus expenses minus drawings. So equity related transactions, December 1, December 4, December 1 plus figure, December 9 plus figure amount, overall total amount 90,000, December 1 overall 3,80,000, December 19 negative amount 30,000, December 28 negative amount 20,000, total plus added amount 3,80,000 plus 90,000 4,70,000 and minus amount, that is deducted amount 50,000. So this is the amount of equity 4,20,000. Okay, now time to take another question for this chapter, that is transaction, CQ number 4. You are watching the new creative question for this chapter, that is transaction. I read it. The following transactions are available in the business of Wasim on December 2019. December 1, invested in business, Taka 3 lakh. December 5, deposited into bank. December 10, goods purchased on credit from Fahim. December 12, paid to Fahim. December 15, paid wages. December 20, goods sold on credit to Ahad. December 22, received from Ahad by check. December 30, bank interest charged. Requirement A, determine the amount of expenses. B, what is the effect on accounting equation from the above transactions? Determine the amount of owner's equity. Dear learners, I think you are writing this question. 2 marks are given for your future betterment. You must solve this question at your home. Okay, requirement A, determine the amount of expenses. In this system, totally three items of expenses are related to the system. December 10, goods purchased on credit from Fahim taka 10,000. December 15, paid wages taka 2,000. Another one, December 30, bank interest charged. Total amount of expenses 10,000 plus 2,000 plus 1,000, totally 13,000 in this system. What is the effect on accounting equation? Totally 8 transactions are involved. December 1. This transaction, two accounts are involved: cash and capital. For cash increasing, asset increased. For capital increasing, equity increased. December 5. In this transaction, two accounts are involved: bank and cash. For balance of bank increasing, that is asset increased, and cash decreasing, that is asset decrease. December 10, in this transaction, two accounts are involved: purchase account and accounts payable are for him. Purchase, that is equity decrease, and Fahim, that is accounts payable liability increase. December 12, paid to Fahim, that is accounts payable, another one cash. Accounts payable, that is liability decrease, and cash decrease, that is asset decrease. December 15, paid wages expense and cash accounts are involved. For paid wages, that is wages expense, equity decrease, and cash has decreased, that is asset decreased. December 20, goods sold on credit to Ahad. In this transaction, account receivable, that is Ahad, and sales account are related. Account receivable increased, that is asset increased. Sales increased, that is equity increased. December 22, received from Ahad by check. For this transaction, two accounts are involved: bank and account receivable. For bank increasing, asset increased, and account receivable decreased, that is asset decreased. The last transaction is bank charged. In this transaction, two accounts are involved: interest expense or interest charged, another one bank. For interest expense, equity decrease, and bank decreasing, that is asset decrease. For the requirement C, the amount of equity. In equity, totally transactions are included: December 1 for plus sign, December 10 for minus sign for taka 10,000, December 15 taka 2,000 for minus sign, December 20 goods sold on credit taka 30,000 plus sign, December 30 interest charged taka 1,000 minus sign. Now you can find out the amount of owner's equity from this question. Dear students, I think you have written in your accounting practice copy. The two homework, please solve it very carefully. This is the last lecture for transactions. This is the part 2 of chapter 1, that is introduction to accounting for 11 classes. Dear learners, I think you have understood all lectures of this chapter for chapter 1. Overall 4 chapters I have already given in front of you. That's all for being today. Allah Hafiz. Assalamu alaikum.